Hey everybody, this is Brad Dyke saying hi to you, and today we're talking about something that's come up. A few of you have asked about this, so I thought that's a very good question, and I'm going to go and address that today. What we're talking about here is specifically in regards to when is it finally time to simply move to your next ATX PC tower? What are some of the driving factors where age really has truly proven itself out? Now, what I'm talking about is the fact that, as you can see here with this very traditional and classical case tower I have here in front of me, when do you finally throw the rag in and say it's time to upgrade? Well, that's driven on a few things, and this is not going to be a long video, but it's going to be detailed. The very first thing you want to do when it's time to consider the fact that you're going to have to deal with the simple age of your chassis. This one here is 12 years old. It's how old it is, and it's got some age to it. It's got your basic 3.5 style / 5.25 style bay structure. It has clip-ins or snap-ins for the bays. It may or may not have USB outputs, aux outputs, and so on. It may have a memory reader card, and that is something also to consider. On the back side, you have the traditional ATX power supply mounting points. You may have exterior interfaces for fans, mounts, and brackets, and so on. But then you take a look at this and you say, when do I want to retire this chassis? When do I really need to go to the next PC tower for my needs? Well, to answer that question, you basically are looking at the reality of that. In this case, we have a 12-year-old case chassis. We have what's called a side panel door. This one's got a plexiglass mat, which is okay. It's not great. It's not bad. Aluminum and metal-based towers do dissipate heat more effectively than plastic integration, but that's all right. And as you can see, as I open it up here, the principal environment really, it's a new motherboard, new processor, a very good SSD drive, very good power supply, brand spanking new. I mean, this is all state of the art. This is great. But when I look at the case housing, I start to have some concerns. One, the biggie, is the fact that the cable outputs that you have from between the button interfaces, that's the speaker, the on-off, the reset button, LEDs, and so on, are susceptible to oxidization because a lot of times they have copper or aluminum endpoints. And here you can see that endpoint as an example. This is a speaker interface, and it's got copper contacts, and they do oxidize over time. Something else to take into consideration, especially if you have what's called plastic mounting fans, they're using plastic, and these degrade over time. So they tend to become fragile, and they'll break, and that's why these don't have fans in them, because they broke. But this is a diagnostic station for me, so I'm okay with that. Now, it's an aluminum internal chassis, and this is an aluminum rack, an aluminum tower, so it's definitely a keeper. But some key details that are important to realize is, again, you're dealing with the age of the device interfaces. If you have USB ports 1.0, 2.0, and you've been using them for a long time, oxidization is just a reality check. You just keep pushing them in. It wears that gold-plated surfacing, and then the oxidization comes in. Next thing you know, you're having to insert it 2, 3, or 4, or 5 times. Finally, it comes up, and so on. So this is an indication of age. So with that being said, it's important to understand that the wear and tear on these items do accrue over time. Another important thing is this is a tray lock bay interface, and these tray locks are made of plastic a lot of times. So as you open up your case housings and you pop out your metal framings and you want to lock them into place, you have to maintain these 4 sets of rail kits, and those rail kits are susceptible to breaking because they're usually plastic with aluminum housing involved with it to some degree, but they become frail over time, so they wear out. The same way with the plate mounts too. These plastic surface mounts here a lot of times will snap off, and so eventually what you have is some panels that are missing, you misplace them, or they're basically too fragile and they snap or they break. A very traditional problem you see with NAS devices with plastic housings for the drive housings, they over time become brittle, and it's because of the heat variances and so on. Another key detail in this equation are the fans. Now, this chassis has a fan in the front down here, and has a fan on the motherboard, and has a fan on the power supply. The auxiliary fans have been removed because of the mounting brackets aren't going to be able to sustain that. So at that point in stage, I definitely have justification for replacing this tower and its functionality with another tower. But okay, can I repurpose this tower? Absolutely. I use this one as a diagnostic station. This box used to be my father's a long time ago when he had a Pentium 6. Can you believe that? A P6 in here, Pentium Pro. And but over the years, I have used it after he passed away for other tasks in diagnostic stage. This is my pre-bus diagnostic motherboard here that I use, and it's a great repurposing of the old tower. But for what you want to do, or for instance, you want new features like an aux output, or you want to be able to put a headset in, or you want a Bluetooth emitter, or you want USB 3.0, USB 3.1, and so on, or you want eSATA interfaces on the front end or on the top. Towers do offer that, and they offer it by the cable sets that are as part of the tower design itself. Not to mention, of course, additional features such as front-end USB outputs, FireWire, and so on. So those are absolute justifications for going after and getting a newer case. I do recommend that you also either recycle the case housing so that the metal gets recycled into the industry, or that you have it as a diagnostic station. Take all the side panels off, open it wide open, put hardware in there and test the hardware. It's a great diagnostic station. This is a really nice rack style release 3.5 inch configuration, which can take SSD drives. But since this is my diagnostic station, my SSD drives are constantly coming in and out depending on what operating system I need to work it on. But this is the 2 cents I offer to you about when do you finally upgrade your PC tower? What are the technical challenges of doing that? And how is that going to give you what you're wanting? So by saying that, you have to have a clear understanding that there are technical issues that can say, hey, this port doesn't work anymore, or that port doesn't work, or half the ports don't work, or the light switches aren't working, the LEDs stop functioning. Your power and reset buttons aren't, very responsive. I have to hold the button down longer, and so on and so on. There are also those added features that you would like to see, like you want 5 USB outputs, and you want 6 CPU support fan systems, or you want a water chiller subspace or an induction space for a cooler that would support liquid cooling, and so on and so on. You put those on a piece of paper, put your scorecard out there, and at that point in stage, you'll know exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it, and then go after that case you want. This is Brad Dyke signing off. Keep having fun. Have a great time doing all this stuff, and I'll let you go.